When Joanne Cooper, the mother of this year's queen, Margaret Cooper of Mardi Gras, came to Ron with the idea of recreating a 17th century design for the gown and train, it did not take long for Ron Barrett to dream about recreating Josephine and Napoleon's coronation robes. The robes for King Philip III and Queen Margaret took over 7 months to complete and countless hours of hand sewing.
I think that the reason I do this is because my parents took me into to Hamill's department store the year that Jeannie Inge's sister was Mardi Gras queen, and I saw her trains in the window, and I was just fascinated with the ermine and fascinated with the rhinestones, and I'll never forget it. I was in the 5th grade. I'll never forget it, and therefore here I am standing over a Mardi Gras train talking about it. It's real difficult to sell something like this to someone who has, first of all, never worn a Mardi Gras train. So what we do is we draw it out on 18-foot pieces of paper, and it really is overwhelming to people when they just see this first piece of paper. And like on this particular train, we drew designs just like this. We drew out these designs, and this is the first time we've ever done this. We sent this to India to be sewn with gold bullion threads, which are brass and gold-plated wires that are sewn into the appliques. And they took these drawings and did gold and silver bullion and sent it back to us in all these little giblets, and we hand-sewed all these pieces, you know, in place to make these patterns. And they're exact copies of our original 18-foot long train. We just cut that all up and had it done in China and India, and then assembled it here. It really was a lot of fun because it all started out, we were taking drawings from the altar at All Saints Episcopal Church, where they're members, and then we developed that into 14 themes that appear in each one of these Napoleonic wreaths, and we have 7 from the Old Testament and 7 from the New Testament. The theme of the train is all things bright and beautiful. And so we took all these ideas from church teachings, and look how beautifully it's. Here's the Ark of the Covenant. Here's a Torah. Here's a shofar, and you know the bursting pomegranate is a symbol of the resurrection from the Old Testament. They're wonderful ideas. It's just a wonderful theme. This is the first pure silk velvet that I've ever touched. I've never had real silk velvet in my hands, and it's just luscious, and the light just goes all the way through it like a hole in the ground. It's just truly magnificent fabrics. And then we have gold leather. We have leather that's stained gold. This is rabbit fur and ermine tails. All of the trims around the side are gold bullion, silk ribbons. Silver lame ribbons. There's some beautiful lace pieces that are cut apart and sewn in there. Well, here in Mobile, our trains are pretty much 9 feet wide and 18 feet long. So I knew I had to have that shape. So I set a French cartouche design and made it very heavy on the border, which is a pure empire design. By having a very thin field and very heavy on the border is a 19th century theme. So I made it very, very thick and heavy on the side with very narrow trims to make it authentic. But I went ahead and made it 9 feet wide so it fit a Mobile look. Tom Gray made the gown and designed it as an exact replica of Josephine Bonaparte's dress. It's made with 90-year-old gold lace and a pure silk chiffon, and it has 2,800 rhinestones hand sewn into it. It's really beautiful. It's a wonderful team effort because the ladies who sew these things, who are standing behind the camera, who will not say a word, absolutely love sewing on these things, and they think about them, and they have a real understanding about where we're going, how long it's going to take, and after they've assembled these things, they just own them. They just own them, and they just love them, and it's really something to see them go out the door because they've thought about it and prayed over it and stitched on it for so long. Oh, it defines culture. Mardi Gras defines culture. We have the real pleasure of living in a real social environment. And Mardi Gras forces us to structure a very, very solid social system together, which defines culture. It really does work. You can say what you want to about it, and you can say negative things about it, and you talk about different kinds of people, but it really does define culture.